welcome to the Legacy Builders podcast, where we're redefining generational wealth one story at a time. My name is Mario Gonzalez, the host of the program, and today we have my good buddy Zach. We've actually spoken quite a few times here and there in different networking groups, but in the last event that we had, the golf scramble, I was just I learned a lot more about you and as far as the way your brain works and like your system, like a system tech nerd. And so we were
Yeah,
talking about optimization and all that stuff. So I thought it was pretty dope. So glad to have you on, man.
yeah, thank you.
So before I get these shows started, I kind of like to start off with setting a definition because generational wealth means different things to different people, right? So with that said, what is your definition of generational wealth?
I think I think that my definition would probably be more like being able to build wealth so that my wife, my kids, their kids never have to worry about expenses, being able to afford where they live, afford food, all the basic necessities,
Mm,
and having something that will continue to make money even if they can't get jobs, even if they're like, just really struggling for whatever. There's an income that's provided for them that lasts forever,
right.
right? And there will always be more income than expenses.
Okay.
So,
Cool. Is there like a certain everybody kind of has a vision, right? I'm a huge believer in vision boards and manifestation and those types of things. Is there like a certain vision that you have or way that you plan to get there?
yeah, I think that like my vision that I've kind of built out was build like I want to build out a lot of different companies,
Hmm.
and right now it's the accounting firms. Right now it's building out like the two different ones, one for the trades and one for nonprofits. But once those are built out and I have a lot more time to step back, focusing more on like, you know, if I find something that I enjoy,
Hmm.
turning it into a business, scaling it, getting it more automated so I don't have to be in it anymore.
Yeah.
And my vision is actually kind of having enough businesses to where whenever I want to do something, I have a business that does that for money, and then I
Hmm.
can just go do that thing that I
Yeah.
want to do, and then it just pays me to do it. And
Yeah.
so that's, I think, the end vision in terms of like operation wise of the different types of businesses. But yeah, the vision goal is once all of those are automated and all running, then it is that stable income for the family
Yeah.
forever,
I
right?
freaking love that, dude, because we're right on the same trajectory.
Yep.
That's another thing that I kind of learned about you over the weekend, but it's like for me, and I don't want to talk too much about me, but it's about like stacking cash flow, right?
Yep.
So I've built out the dog training business. I made my first acquisition onto the third acquisition. Hopefully by Q1 make another one, and then I have all of these little different things that I'm working on in between time. So I know you're kind of in the same spot.
Oh yeah.
Why don't you give us a little bit of background on your story and how you got to like the bookkeeping businesses that you have now?
Oh yeah. So a little bit of background for that. I mean, my background has been so wild. I've done so many different things. Everything from door-to-door sales to IT, building computers and all that kind of stuff. But I was working in a large accounting firm, specifically for nonprofits. And I remember I did that for 2 years, and I was just kind of thrown into it. My clients, it was about 20, 21 or something clients. And overall, if you combine all of their annual revenues, it was like about 150 million. So
Mm.
some of them were pretty large, some of them were mid-size, smaller, but together it was a lot of work to figure it all out. But once I figured that out, I realized in the company there wasn't a good culture. Like people weren't talking to each other, people weren't um, like I barely knew anybody in the company, and there was a few hundred employees. And I was like, this is wrong. So I'm going to start doing like hangout calls, bringing people together, building that culture. And after a while, I got things happened, and I ended up leaving that job. And after that happened, I was kind of in a position where I was like, do I just go get another job? I was offered another job at another company to do accounting, and it would have been a safe paycheck. It would have been nice, steady, which
Mhm.
most accountants I feel like are usually like, yeah, of course, like take the steady paycheck.
Right.
But I saw that culture, like everything lacking in that old firm. But I was like, I can do this better, and I can provide a place to hire a lot of those employees and give them a better place to work where they'll be happier.
Mhm.
And I'll make sure that I take care of the clients as well. Like everything is. I just can see all of the places where it lacked. And I
Right.
was like, if I made the decisions, I could do so much better. So I just took the step and I did it. I started Pro Trade Bookkeeping, um, and I stayed in my own lane. I didn't want to compete with my previous employer, so I was like, "We'll just do this." Uh, and I started getting some clients, and it started building out. And after 7 months, we got our first person that came over from that company as well. And I mean, he was a really good accountant as well. Uh, but I was talking to him about like, hey, do you want to work for us? But I didn't have enough cash at the time because we were still
Yeah.
very early in our business, and I was like, I can't afford a full time accountant.
Right.
Uh, but he was like, I actually take owner's disbursements from another company. I don't need cash right now. Do you want to start up another accounting firm, compete with our former employer directly, and do what we want to do and help these nonprofits? And we were like, let's do it. So he became our CFO, and
Nice.
we started scaling up that business as well. Uh, and that's the story of how I got two different accounting firms. But yeah, that's kind of the background of how it started, and then from there it just kind of kept going.
Yeah, yeah. Why don't you like break down the difference between a bookkeeper and a CPA? Because I didn't find out until about 2.5 years into business that those are two totally different things, right? And then tax
Yeah.
strategist too. So like I went for months and months and months, like having to ask my bookkeeper to polish the books. I'm like, hey, I need them up to date, and it'd be like a month before I got a reply. And so it was just a horrible customer experience. And then I learned like, oh, I need a CPA too, right? And I think a lot of people, at least starting out in the trenches, don't get that part.
Yeah. And I'd say there's a lot of confusion around the term accountant,
Yeah.
right? Because like when you think of accountant, a lot of people just associate that with CPA and like tax work. Whereas accountant and accounting as a whole, tax is a sliver of it,
Mhm.
just like bookkeeping is a sliver of it. Just like, doing the financial analysis is part of accounting. Like accounting is the full like language of business,
Right.
basically. It's the entire understanding of it. As Warren Buffett says, it's the language of business, and if you don't speak it, it's like speaking a foreign language in a foreign country.
Mhm.
And it's like you need to be able to speak it, or you need a translator at least. So an accountant is that translator. It's somebody that can go through and translate all of that into common tongue, basically,
Yeah.
right? Uh, so the business owners can understand it. Now, taxes, CPAs, the CPA is focused on tax strategy,
Mhm.
understanding tax filing, tax law, all of that kind of stuff. So yes, you need a CPA when it comes to the tax strategy and all that. Bookkeeping is another lane where it's like focusing on the reporting, the making sure your accounts are accurate and reconciled and cleaned up and organized. So when it goes to the CPA for tax season, they can make sure that they understand their tax law, they have everything right there, and it's easy for them, right?
Right.
Especially because you don't want to necessarily pay a CPA price tag on something that is not tax related, because
Mhm.
you're paying the CPA extra for that tax knowledge, but the reporting is not always something that they even know. I've met some CPAs that are straight up like, I don't do the reporting, I don't do the bookkeeping, like I've never been trained in it. And yeah, it's something that can be learned, but a lot of CPAs that I've met focus specifically on the tax, and they never even think about the bookkeeping
Yeah.
because they don't want to. And it's like they will do it, but they're not always the best because they are very different
Yeah.
things. So I'd always check and make sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then with the rest of accounting, because technically that there's a lot of other stuff in accounting that we do, not just the bookkeeping, but it's the financial analysis, right? Understanding the financial documents, understanding what they mean, how to read them, um, and going through all of them. Because I've seen a lot of times, I've had clients that have come to me and saying, "Hey, I've got my P&L and my balance sheet," and I'm like,
Mhm.
"Cool, let's go through them." They're like, "Why does my P&L say we made profit, and then my balance sheet shows that my bank balance is going down?"
Yeah.
So I'm like, let's look at the statement of cash flows. And 90% of the time, they're like, what is that? Like,
Yeah.
and it's like, okay, this is a very important document. And that's where you're going to find out that information because it's all of the cash movement that's on the balance sheet. So you
Mhm.
don't see it on the P&L.
Right.
And so things like that, where we can dive in and really understand the financials, do that analysis, do trend analysis for multiple months, all that good stuff.
Okay.
So
Cool.
that's kind of the umbrella of accounting and kind of background on it. So,
Yeah. Yeah. One thing we did talk a lot about over the weekend was like systems, right? Your
mhm.
your your passion for systems and building automations and all that.
Yes.
And we don't have to just stick on specifically accounting, right? Like we were talking about YouTube, we were talking about a whole bunch of different things and how you're hiring your sales team. Like, let's talk a little bit about the business side of it and systemizing and automation.
Yep. Uh, yeah, I mean, there's so many automations that you can use these days to just make life easier. And for like the sales process, a lot of people will set up things like, automated emails, right? And it's like cool drip campaigns or whatever. But a lot of times I've seen people not really think about those automations internally
Mm,
in their CRM softwares or whatever. Like we use Go High Level, and a lot of the things we set up in Go High Level are full automated onboarding campaigns,
yeah.
right? So like as soon as a contract is signed, automatic emails are sent out, automatic notifications on our team are sent out so our IT person can get all the accounts set up. Our accountant now knows that we have this new client, so we can do this introduction, and it gives them the information so they can do that initial outreach. There's a lot of internal stuff, and I mean that works in almost any business, especially service-based businesses
Yeah.
where you have that onboarding process, client communication during the sale. It's like all of those things can be automated as well,
Hmm.
and so I'd say that's a part where I've seen a lot of people not really think about it because their CRM, they just think of how do I get sales and how
Yeah.
do I automate that? But there's so much more to it.
So much
Right.
more. So we were talking about one specifically over the weekend that I'll touch on, and I was literally working on it before you got here, but it's like a feedback loop for my sales guy, right? So I built a
Yeah.
chat GPT or GPT. It's called it Sales Master GPT, and I fed it a bunch of transcripts on like what the optimal sales flow should look like when we have a client call in, and this is for my dog training business. And
Yeah.
so what it's going to do is it's going to analyze the transcripts, and then it is going to coach the sales guy. So after each call, it'll be like, hey, this is what you did good. This is what you can work on, and this is how to handle objections. But it's not only going to do that, it's going to collect objections. So
Mm,
that way we have a pool of data and we could be like, okay, we had 10 customers talk about XYZ and this is why they didn't want to buy. So we can like strategize
yeah.
for the future to handle objections. So it's just like it amazes me like what you can do with AI and those types of automations. Is there anything specific that you've done with your business or your enterprise?
Yeah. I mean, for ours, we've set up a lot of systems in the pipelines directly
Hmm.
uh, because there's a lot of times too, and one of the big things I've noticed when working with lots of different companies is leads cost money,
Oh
right?
yeah,
Like they cost a lot of money
yeah,
sometimes. And letting those fall through. And I know we talked a little bit about this at
yeah.
the golf thing, but it's like when you spend that much money on leads and then you have a salesperson contact them and then they just say, like screw off, whatever. It's like they do not want to talk to you. Well, it may just be a bad day. It may just be that they don't like that salesperson.
Yeah.
So we set up automations to where as soon as that's done, it recycles them back into the system. And then 60 days later, it automatically sends a notification. So our other salespeople
Hmm.
can then see that and be like, oh, cool, this person like had this experience. This is what they said. This is what happened.
Hmm.
Now they can go in and try to talk to them and see if, yeah, maybe it was just a bad day. You call them up and they're like, actually, yes, I do need this.
Yeah.
And they may not even remember you at all because it's another salesperson.
Yeah.
So they're like, "Oh man, I like you a lot better, and I'm actually listening to you. Oh yes, this is a real need." But it recycles those leads back in, so it's not just a lost lead and then abandoned and never seen again. You spend all that money just for it to go in the garbage, basically.
Yeah.
So I think that's a really good system to have set up
Hmm.
because yeah, you don't want to waste money on leads.
Yeah, for sure, man. Well, man, I've had so many ideas, and like, I started a cleaning business, and I was like, well, if a lot of the demographic, that has dogs, these are house clean and vice versa, that didn't pan out, and then I got the poop scoop business, and I was like, oh, you know what? I'm gonna buy a groomer too and just feed the same lead into each other. It does not
Yep.
really work that way. So if clients are interested in dog training, they're interested in dog training. They're not really interested in pet waste removal, right? So
Yep.
yeah. Anyways, like I don't know. I don't know if you're probably like me and you get that shiny penny syndrome where you're like, oh, I have an
Yeah.
idea. Let me go after that idea, and then something else comes up. You
Yeah,
know?
and I think that is something that it's really tough for us to be
Yeah.
able to, yeah, see that shiny thing and not do it.
Yeah.
But I think that the best thing to do in that kind of situation is to instead of being like, I have this idea that I think is going to work well together. just kind of listening to the demand of the customers, right? Like if
Yeah.
you say, hey, if there's anything else we can help you guys with, just let us know, blah, blah, blah. And if people are saying like, oh yeah, like we could use some poop scooping, like all that kind of stuff,
Right.
it's like, cool. Now let's feed that into this business because we're seeing a lot of our customers saying that.
Yeah.
I feel like, and I'm guilty of this so much, is thinking like, oh, this is going to be perfect. People are going to love this. And then as soon as you talk about it, they're like, yeah, no, I don't need
Yeah.
that. And it's
Yeah.
like, it's just not a need. And so it's like, follow the demand where the demand is. Don't try to create demand for something that doesn't have it yet.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah, I've been going down like a few like rabbit holes, and it talks about testing the market first. So maybe like go on Facebook ads and then put a post for a product that you don't even have yet and see how much traction it gets, depending on like what area you're looking into, or like even here in our local community, right? Treasure Valley and Boise. Like if you have an idea, pay for 200 bucks in ads and see if it kicks, or if you're getting feedback. If not,
Sure.
then maybe
Yeah.
move on. So I don't know, maybe.
Yeah.
But have you ran ads yet on Facebook or
We have a little bit,
yeah.
and yeah, we've kind of had mixed feelings about it because it's one of those things where I don't want to dump a bunch of money into it unless I know that it's going to have ROI. But you kind of have to dump money into it to figure out if there's an ROI.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
so we've been really focused on just word of mouth and trying to get that brand recognition up from people recommending us.
yeah.
And it's been going really well for us so far, but we are definitely starting to figure out that online ads and all those kind of things, especially nationwide, because like we are local to the Treasure Valley and this is where our roots are. But we do have other clients that are across the U.S. and we want to try to branch
Right.
out. And
You
the
have so much
same,
opportunity, dude,
oh
having
yeah,
a brick and mortar.
I know,
Yeah.
right? It's so nice, but yeah, it's one of those things where I'm still trying to figure all that out because it's like I am so big into that local, like just the feeling of knowing who they are, being able to go out and grab a drink, grab a coffee, do whatever, and like meet the person that you're working with in
Mhm.
person. But when you're nationwide, it makes it a little bit more
Yeah.
difficult for that like personal connection.
Yeah.
So that's something that I'm still trying to figure out right now.
Gotcha.
But yeah,
I've lost a little bit of sight of that, dude, because like early in the beginning, probably the first 2 years in the dog training business, I loved training dogs, like meeting with clients and all that. And then after a while, you just have that operator hat, right? Like so often that you just get burnt out. So I got burnt out with that. So now I've kind of graduated to the phase like you, where we're working on the business, not necessarily in the business, you
yeah,
know. Um, but you kind of have a little bit of a different of a client base too, right?
yeah,
Meeting with more like your business to business more than business to
sure,
residential or
yeah,
1040
yeah,
tax returns. Yeah,
yep,
yeah,
exactly.
yeah. Um, Kind of going back to generational wealth and what it means to you. I know right now as the accounting firms, you had another idea. You were talking about valeting or something like that, and you used to have a car detailing business, right?
Yeah,
Can you touch a little
yep.
bit on that, or like if that's not actually the next move, what's the next move after that?
Yeah, so actually, so my buddy has his company and he has this valet opportunity, but he needs a detailer for when the cars are valeted.
Mhm.
And I had a buddy back in the day, and we started up a car detailing business, and we built it from scratch, made it super successful. Like we were doing exotics, we were doing like super luxury and like high end detailing, and I got to see that whole process. And so when my buddy reached out and said he wants to start it up and his son wants to start one up, I was like, well, I have some experience. I could help you guys with it. And my buddy too, my old roommate from college, he started one up over in Kirkland, Washington,
Mhm.
and been talking to him, trying to help him out as much as I can, and he's been able to scale it up super big. And so with all of the industry knowledge that I have in it, I was like, yeah, let's just do it. We can figure it
Yeah.
out. And so with this opportunity, it's basically going to be the first startup of this business, and we're going to try to make it more for my buddy's son because he's the one. He's still in high school and he really wants to start this thing. And I'm like, I wish I would have started a company when I was in high school because
Yeah.
man, it would have been
Dude.
so much by the time I was this age. Like I would
Yeah.
have like so much built out already. So I want to encourage him to start early.
Yeah.
So it's going to be mostly his baby, but I'm going to come in and just try to give him the framework, give him the training, give him
Mhm.
the idea and the structure, and then we'll try to scale that up as fast and big as we can. Uh, but yeah, make sure that it's scaled in the same way that I know how to scale up detailing businesses. So I think that's going to be kind of the next business that I kind of help grow. And I'll probably have a little bit of equity stake, but
Yeah.
not going to be like majority. I'm just gonna, like I said, try to help him out, scale it up, and then we'll see what's next. But yeah, there's a couple different business ideas that I've had, so it's
Yeah.
kind of figuring out again what the demand is, what do
Right.
people actually want, and how can I scale those businesses up to a way that they are automated, so I can not spend all the time, yeah, in the business, work
Yeah.
on them, scale them up, um,
Yeah.
see if we need to sell them off or see if it's something that we can hold on to, things like that.
Yeah. As you were talking, one thing kind of sparked my memory, and it was from like a very early conversation. You don't have to go into detail. I don't know how sensitive it is, but in regards to like partnerships, right? How
Yep.
important is a partnership? Because a lot of the times, sometimes I feel like I know somebody really well, and then as soon as money gets involved, things go sideways. And yeah,
Yep.
lesson learned.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much to learn from
Yeah.
partnerships, and I think at the end of the day, you just need to make sure that everything is sound contract wise. You need to
Yeah.
make sure the operating agreement is very built out on what roles everybody has, what
Yeah.
expectations are set, and make sure that equity is vested because when you just give equity, a lot of the times, you don't have that performance standard and they can just keep it and it's theirs. And
Yeah.
so you want to protect yourself as much as possible, but I do think partnerships are really good because it allows you to delegate tasks
Mm-hmm.
to somebody that also has that same ownership, that same like feeling of I need this to be good.
Yeah.
Because if you just get an employee, they're not going to care about it as much. But if
Right.
they do have equity stake, they do care about it just as much, and they're in it, right?
Yeah.
It's not something that they can just be like, yeah, no, I quit. It's like
Mhm.
I'm putting in my 2 week notice. No, they're in it no
Yeah.
matter what, right?
Yeah.
Um, and so one of the things that I've noticed too with Karak Accounting, my nonprofit accounting firm, because we have 4 equity partners,
Mhm.
and being able to scale that company has been so much easier because we have our CFO. He can lead the accounting. He can lead like all of those trainings and do the reviews and all of that kind of stuff. I don't have to do as much of it. We have our CTO, and he's able to, like I said, whenever there's a client that needs an account or an employee that needs an account, any of the IT security stuff, we have the expert and he can just do it, and that's his thing. We have our VP of sales, and he's able to help just scale out the sales team, build the sales processes, do all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And so it's like being able to, for me, especially as the CEO, is like the more stuff that they can take off my plate, the more I can focus directly on the things that need help with.
Yeah.
So, like when my VP of sales says, man, I really need help building the team or building scripts out. I'm like, cool. Well, I can help you build the scripts because I'm
Mhm.
not doing the accounting work, right? I
Yeah.
have my CFO to do it.
Right.
If my CTO is like, hey, I am trying to figure out the CRM system, I can go in and say, cool, let's build this CRM system out. Let's build the automations,
Mhm.
and I can take much more of a CEO role of being the face of the company and then also helping in everything that needs my help,
Yeah.
right? Um, and so, yeah, I think partnerships, you can get so much further with them.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, you have to make sure you're protected.
Mhm.
You have to make sure that in the beginning, everything is set up. So if it doesn't work out with partners, it is easier to
CYA.
separate, right?
Cover your ass. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, for
exactly.
sure. Yeah, and partnerships, like I've kind of been redefining that too for myself, right? It doesn't necessarily have to be like, hey, we're going into business together. I think of like my general manager at my dog training facility or like a lead kennel tech, right? Having some sort of partnership there. And because at
Mhm.
the end of the day, you're delegating, right? It's all about
Yep.
delegation, especially if you want to take more of that CEO role or operator or
Mhm.
not operator role.
Yep.
But
Owner
yeah,
role.
yeah, the owner role. Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly. Yeah. What have kind of been some of your, I guess, across your journey and where you're at now, like biggest roadblocks that you faced? How did you overcome them? And then is there anything now that's kind of been holding
Yeah.
you back from getting to where you want to be?
I would say one of the biggest roadblocks I had, especially in the beginning, was trying to get through the education part of
Mhm.
what we're doing. And with the accounting, it's really important because again, education is so much of what we do, and getting that point across of like helping the prospects understand what we do so that they can become clients, because there is so much of like a stigma of, oh, just a bookkeeper,
Yeah.
why not just get a CPA to do it all? And
Mhm.
like we were talking about earlier with what does accounting really mean,
Mhm.
again, so many people just associate accountant with CPA, and it's like that education part
Mhm.
was so hard to like get past and help people understand. But I think after doing this for so long, you've kind of learned how to.
Put in the reps, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. You put in the reps, you understand how to get those points across quickly and help them understand you are the expert.
yeah.
And then once they figure out you're the expert, they're a lot more open to listening.
Right.
Uh, I think that was one of the biggest hurdles in the beginning. And I think right now the biggest hurdle probably is the marketing piece because yeah, it's ever changing. There's always things
Mhm.
switching up, different ways to do things. What's the best platform to market on, and like where's the best source of money
Yeah,
spent, right? Uh, which obviously there's so many different marketing companies that will tell you so many different things, but again, it's because it's always changing. So
yeah,
I think
yeah.
that's the biggest hurdle right now.
In my experience, and again, we're in different industries, but Google has always been at the top, right? Because you have high intent
Yep.
folks that are looking to buy versus Facebook. I literally just started running Facebook ads again maybe 2 months ago. I kind of cut them off. I fired my marketing agency because they weren't, producing, and then I've been going down the AI rabbit hole, and I was like, man, I'm burning so much cash and I'm not seeing the ROI, but it's because they are not high intent leads, right? They're people that are
Yep.
just kind of scrolling through. They're getting their dopamine hit, and they're like, oh, I'm interested. Fill out the form. You try and reach them. They put fake contact information, or it's like they're just kicking tires, right?
Yep.
So Google for sure is a huge one. If you're going to
Yeah.
spend money, I'd advise spending money there.
Yeah,
Um,
that's yeah, because we've spent money on both, but I definitely feel that with like the
yeah,
meta ads, definitely more tire kicker, more just click on a button and then forget about it kind of thing.
yeah.
Um, yeah,
And I noticed you've been posting a lot more on LinkedIn, right?
yep,
It's not necessarily your face as the brand. I've been doing a little bit of that with All Dogs, my dog training business. And the second day I posted a vlog style content, we booked a board and train. And then, funnily enough, today my sales guy, he told me about a client that was going to come in for a tour, and the trainer at the facility said that they had been talking to me. I was like, I have not been talking to them, right? And so, anyways, there was some miscommunication or confusion or whatever. And my face has been out there so long now, and it's only been a month, dude. But we've been posting every day consistently.
nice.
That customers, when they're communicating email, they think they're talking to me, which I like but don't like, right?
Yeah,
Because I don't want to be the face of the company. I just want to be in the background, but my employees at the facility are not necessarily social media savvy or want to be in front of the camera.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, I feel that,
yeah,
and I think as CEO as well, I think it is important to be the face of the company.
yeah,
Uh, Even though, like us as business owners, we don't want to again be the operator necessarily.
right.
We want to be able to scale these businesses up. I think the CEO still needs to have some kind of being the face of the company, some kind of presence so people know. Uh, but at the same time, I've seen this in a lot of companies too. When the owner gets too busy doing so many things that they can't be the CEO,
Hmm.
find a CEO,
Yeah.
right? Like it's okay to step back and find a CEO that can be that face of the company,
Hmm.
but it is something that needs to be done once the owner can't do it anymore. And it's going to, I think, I mean, it's always going to drain the company finances a little bit more because now you have another salary you have to pay for. But the CEO should be the face of the company, building those partnerships with other companies. And so if you can make sure that they're with those partnerships producing more than you're spending,
Hmm.
then it's a good investment, right? And
Yeah.
now that's when you can really step back as the owner and understand, cool, we have this person that's the face of the company. We trust them.
Hmm.
Maybe we give them a little bit of equity stake just to make sure that they are in it to be that kind of person.
Hmm.
Uh, but I mean, at the end of the day, yeah, it's you don't want to be the CEO if you're not being the CEO,
Right. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And I've seen that happen with a lot of companies. The owner's just like, you know what, I want to take my paycheck, step back, not do the work, and get paid. And
Yeah.
it's like you need an operator
Yep.
at the top. And when you're small enough to make it just like, maybe a general manager, cool. It's not necessarily a CEO, cool. But once it gets to a certain point, I think that CEO role definitely needs to be filled in. It's yeah, the face of the company and the building of partnerships.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
For sure. If there's one piece of advice you can give folks out there who are either they're starting their side hustle or trying to get into business, or maybe even made it to the like out of the trenches like we're at right now, like what would you tell
I would say talk to just other business owners that
them?
are at the point that you want to be at, because that's something that I like got so much value out of.
Yeah.
Because like when it comes to the contracts, I learned through trial and error,
Yeah.
and that sucks. You don't want to
Yeah.
have to learn, oh, contracts, I have to think about those. How are those supposed to be set up?
Yeah.
But if you go and you're just talking to people that own businesses that are at the point that you want to be, they've probably already learned either through trial and error,
Mm,
or they've also been taught by one of their mentors or something. And having those mentors in place, that even if they're not like official mentors, just people that you learn from, you can learn so much from them. And there's only two ways to learn things: through experience or through being told.
yeah.
And if you don't do either of those, like, you don't have anything, right? So it's like you don't necessarily want to learn everything through experience. Try to take as much as you can, learn
Yeah.
from others. Um, but yeah, still just do it.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I hope that makes sense because
No, that totally makes sense. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people get an analysis by paralysis too, right? I mean, shoot,
oh yeah,
I'll be 41 this year, and like I told you, retirement for me means work because I want to, not because I have to. So I hit that. Finally, that was my goal by 40. You're a little younger than I am, right? So kudos to you for getting where you're at, you
yeah.
know?
It's well, and I think also too with the analysis paralysis, one thing I could say on that too is um, something that hit home for me when I first started my businesses was back in the day in college. I had so many ideas.
Yeah,
I was just like, I want to start this business. I want to do this. I want to do that. And I had a roommate, and he was like, I see all these ideas you have, and they all sound great.
yeah,
Have you done anything yet?
yeah,
And I was like, dang, bro, that hurt. Like, okay. Got called out so hard, but I was like, you know what? You're right. I haven't done anything.
yeah,
Like, I'm building nothing, just ideas that are gonna rot away. Uh, and that was the moment that I actually decided to start my first business
yeah.
because I got called out. So I guess that's another good piece of advice. Just do it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Just do it and figure out how you're going to get there along the way. You
Yep.
know, things are not always going to pan out. Things might go sideways. You might start something and get bored and just figure out, hey, this is not for me and move on. I know I did that so many times, man. Between just different jobs and corporate and starting side hustles, and then it wasn't until I stuck with this last business and just kept at it. And it's one of those fight or flight things too, right? If you don't make it work, then you don't eat. You can't feed your family.
True.
You know, so sometimes that's involved a little bit, but yeah, yeah. I used to buy into the whole New Year's resolution thing as we wrap up here. Just kind of want to get your final thoughts, but now I kind of take it a quarter at a time, right? I figure I can get four more mini resolutions done throughout the year. If you had a goal or several goals outside of business, because I know, like, you're going to get feedback and maybe this car detailing thing, you're going to start. What would it be?
I would say my goals, uh, man, there's so many of them that I want to get
Yeah,
done. And I kind of take the perspective of, yeah, like let me plan out by like 6 months, but know that the next 2 months, or probably the next month, I'm just gonna change all of them anyway. But just kind of keep going through that plan 6 months every month.
mhm,
But yeah, I would say right now the goals are scale up the Pro Trade, scale up the Carac, build those businesses to where they are fully self-sufficient, start this detailing business, and then yeah, kind of see if that's the next thing that I need to spend more time focusing on, and then just kind of reevaluate what's the next business, what's the next thing that I want to do, and like I said, what do I find fun that
yeah,
I could turn into a business that I have a skill set that other people will pay for, right?
right. Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, that's I think my next goal.
Cool, man. Right on. Well, it was a pleasure having you on.
Thank you. Yeah,
I
I
think
appreciate it.
we should do it again here in 6 months to a year and just kind of reevaluate, see where you're at, and
Yeah,
maybe just talk about something completely different. I don't know, man.
heck
But
yeah.
it's been a pleasure to know you, and we'll see you around.